Hello, I'm John Weems, Head of Business Development with BPM, a top 50 U.S. accounting and consulting firm. Welcome to our IPO Readiness Roadmap series. Today, Mike Sellai, leader of our managed IT services, joins us. We'll get to some of Mike's professional pieces in a moment. One of our previous speakers, Craig Ham, bragged of his speed, skiing faster than Ricky Bobby. Mike is not only a fast skier, but also is an instructor with an organization called Achieve Tahoe. So Mike, can you tell us a little bit about that? And then we'll get more to the managed IT side.
I got a unique opportunity to combine something I love with teaching. As my son had a physical disability, I learned of Achieve Tahoe, and I was a huge skier growing up. I joined as a volunteer and able to instruct my son and other kids. And it's a great organization. And
Mike, thanks for sharing that. At BPM, one of our brand promises, because people matter, and we definitely want to help you grow your business, but also make sure we have a focus on the world as well. So Mike, thank you for that. For our folks listening, whether they are very early stage or have been down a road, we will not share their name because we protect our clients' confidentiality. But you have a current client who is about $2 billion valuation. They've grown dramatically. Can you walk us just a little bit, through some of your work with them, some of the steps and milestones and ways that may apply to our other listeners as they consider, whether an IPO is the right road for them, a growth track that could lead to just building a successful company or achieving funding rounds, all of those sorts of items.
So this particular organization, when they got to about 50 employees, they realized that even though they were a tech company, they were growing organically on technology. They bolt on this, they bolt on that, and they needed a more strategic approach to grow. They knew they were going to grow quickly, and a combination of two things. They needed to ensure that the employee onboarding experience was solid because they wanted to retain talent, and they also, a really huge factor was security. They needed to make sure that everything moving forward was secure, as this particular organization was going to go through both SOC 2 compliance and a FedRAMP certification. They had no IT, but a company full of tech people. They brought me in and my team to really give focus and organization structure as they grew. With a lot of other traditional companies, brick and mortar tech, they need to grow their product first. And so as they're going and focusing on all of that, the technology really just grows organically. What is a driving factor? So for this particular client, it was, like I said, it was security. It was an employee onboarding process that they said, hey, we need to have a really strategic process of IT and tech. And so that's when they brought us in and we started to organize and build them for the future of growth.
In this particular case, Mike, I understand you have built a relationship with the CFO. So I know in a lot of our clients, there may be an operations person or finance or other who is wearing 100 hats. Talk a little bit about how perhaps in this case you worked with the CFO to take at least the weight off of the IT part of their hat.
IT always falls under, G&A department. So we're best friends with HR, finance, facility, and IT. We all hang out under the CFO. This particular client, the relationship was really great because she needed to focus on raising money, organizing, their revenue realization and things of that nature for raising money. So by bringing in a managed service provider and somebody who is an expert in IT, she knew with great confidence she could hand that off and let us run with it. Because they were so forward thinking of technology, it was a cloud first mentality from day one. There were no legacy on-prem systems. And that's what really gave us the opportunity to get in quickly, organize, and push for growth. Basically have a 3/4 IT person up to 325 employees. So it's pretty common for most organizations to be like, you need one IT person for every 100 employees. But if it's done right, organized properly, you can far exceed that.
And I know Mike won't take all the credit for this, but they've raised over $300 million. And we know that when funders are looking to make sure that organizations are buttoned up and running properly, that the type of work you do is an important component of that. Mike, you had mentioned SOC 2 and FedRAMP. Not to go into a full dissertation on those, but for our listeners who are newer to some of those terms, do you mind explaining what would be trigger events related to your work when it comes to those terms?
So this particular client, it's a software as a service company. So they won the sale to the federal government. Sarah Lynn, who is a partner at BPM, always says her team will tell you how to do it. Mike's team actually executes on doing it. And so that's what I did with this customer. They had an IT security officer who was defining policy, setting security parameters, setting everything for the organization, data privacy, GDPR, all of these regulations and things that they need to make sure that they were doing. And then it came down to myself and my team to execute, having a list of all of their third-party applications, who had access to those. And not just who had access, but what we were able to really do early on in this organization is set definitions around that, doing what they call role-based access. I'm a salesperson. I'm an account executive. I get all of these applications. I'm in a group that tells me I get all of these applications. And that's how we were able to get them to the point that they were and be ready to go, soon to be IPO. Because as auditors come in, those are the things they want to look at. They want to know, what is the security separation? How are you defining that separation? Having a security officer defining those policies and then we're executing, it was a perfect relationship.
As more organizations have remote workers, including BPM, dispersed all over, talk about any trends you're seeing, and what role are you playing as more companies have people spread around the country and around the world?
One of the things that we love doing is going in and modernizing companies' technology stack. Lots of legacy companies have what they call on-prem equipment, physical servers, physical networks. And we love going in and transforming those organizations to a cloud-first mentality. It doesn't matter where the employee is. They work in a coffee shop, they work at home, they come to the office. It shouldn't matter how they get their services, how they deliver their technology information. It really doesn't matter. Not to mention the organizations and companies suddenly open up a huge inventory, or I should say possibility of hiring people anywhere in the country. And that's been a lot of our customers' kind of driving force. As a lot of our customers are San Francisco Bay Area based, finding qualified employees has been extremely difficult. So building an IT infrastructure to be able to support employees anywhere in the country has been real positive for them.
I know you and our colleagues at BPM are accustomed to working alongside many other firms, and what's fine, we're comfortable with that. Talk a little bit about perhaps some of the advantages of your colleagues in HR or outsourced bookkeeping of working together with colleagues as far as not only managing vendors, but making sure that processes are aligned.
The first group that always comes up is HR. IT and HR are usually working hand in hand. The employee experience for onboarding and receiving their technology is foremost in all of our clients. It's an introductory to the employee of coming into the organization, how well the organization has this process set up. That first week of an employee, either a dysfunctional company or a really organized and functional company that they want to stay with for a long time. We have lots of favorite projects, but one of the other favorite projects is helping organizations bring in a HRIS, human resource information systems, and having that system drive the rest of the technology in the organization with the group permissions and access to third-party applications, all the way down to drop ship to the employee's home, like we had to do it during COVID.
Well, whether you are a green dot bunny slope person, double black diamond, or anything in between, Mike is ready to ski with you on that journey. Mike, thank you for joining us today. We invite all of our listeners to subscribe to BPM's YouTube channel, and of course, reach out to Mike on LinkedIn. We look forward to connecting with you next time. Thank you.